Well, good evening everybody. It's just gone 4 o'clock. I'm in camp. The weather's been absolutely diabolical today. This hurricane is passing over Scotland, so of course we're missing most of it down south, but it's still quite windy nonetheless. I've pitched the Trailstar on Dartmoor. Hopefully you've seen a bit of LassieCam. So that's about the only filming that I've managed to do outside because it's been so poor. I'll just show you out of the Trailstar. I just thought I'd show you the LassieCam. All it is an old collar with a GoPro attached to the bottom of it. So as you probably know, I normally would fly the Phantom, but I knew the weather would be not Phantom flying weather, so the GoPro, which is normally attached to the Phantom, I took out, put it back in its original housing, and then just attached to the collar, and then it just hangs below. So whether the footage will be any good or not, I don't know. But that's LassieCam. As is usual for weather like this, even with waterproofs, my front is unfortunately, I know, a little bit on the damp side, so I should have to take off my clothes, but luckily I've got a spare warm coat to put on, and I've got a very warm sleeping bag. This sleeping bag, for those interested, is rated at -5. The weather today, I believe, is only going to go down to about +5. Might go down to 0 in the morning. But I've brought my warmer bag this time than I have been bringing before, because I'm a very cold sleeper. So as soon as the temperature starts to drop, then I just bring a warmer bag to compensate. As you can see with the Trailstar, I've pitched the back of it as close to the ground as I can, because the wind is coming from the rear and also partly this side here as well. I've pitched sort of the back as near to the ground, and I've pitched this side as near to the ground as I can, which sort of means that my side here I've raised a bit, but again I've got my pack down there. That should be fine. As the saying goes, there's only one way to find out. And for those interested on height, I've got it on 9 on the pacer pole there, and just below, you can't really see it, but just below the pole mark, or the one of the marks down there. So this is probably about 1 metre or 1.5 meters. As you can see, I'm slightly Yoda-fied again, but I can just about sit up. My head is just brushing the inside, but you know, there is enough room just about. And with this wind, you need to be pitched, you know, as low as you can get, sensibly. Right, so I think it's time to get into bed. I've put my night socks on and my leggings on ready. So I've dried my feet. Obviously my socks got soaked. Those are the Innovate 235 with the 0 drop. The grip or the tread on those is not very good, so I actually, it's very rare, fairly rare for me to fall over or slip over, but I actually slipped twice in those on the slick mud, unfortunately, but I was fine. I just went down and straight back up again. Bounced up like Zebedee. So they were okay. If you remember from earlier in the year, I had a pair of Innovate 150s. The Innovate 150s, the back split, as you may remember. Well, I did take it up with Innovate, but because they were more than 1 year old, they were out of guarantee. So even though there was hardly any wear and tear on them, you know, unfortunately they did not replace them free of charge. But they did offer me a brand new pair for half price, which in the end I did go for that. Better than nothing, as they say. But just be warned, if anyone is buying Innovate shoes, basically make sure you wear them out within the 1 year guarantee, because if they fall apart after 1 year, you're stuck. Right, well, we're settled down. Lassie is having a wash. Obviously I've got a towel here for her or myself, but she seems to have settled down on that. I've just draped my base layer. It's only slightly damp, it's just a slight damp spot there. And my fleece, the fleece is the wettest thing. That's the thing that caught the most. As I say, I was wearing a Neo shell. Everything else of it was dry. It's just the front, and of course the front of water resistant zips in very strong wind-blown rain. Water resistant zips aren't waterproof, I don't think. And then I've just hung up my second layer, or my mid layer there. What I'm sort of wondering is if I'd have worn my, like a wind shirt or something, if I'd have worn a wind shirt or something like that over the base layers but under the waterproof coat, whether that would have given just that little bit more protection to layers underneath. So that's something worth you know, thinking about in the future. But I think it's time to have some food, have something to eat, I think, and a cup of tea. Well, it's 7:30 at night, and we're still here. Point that at me, torch at me, try not to blind myself. Yes, it's still blowing a gale outside, but we seem to be just about holding up. Lassie is shifted as usual off her bed, but again it shows how big the Trailstar is. It shows how big the Trailstar is when even when Lassie's well off the bed, she's still well inside the shelter. Right, a few things to bear in mind if you're using the Trailstar. And it's still my favourite shelter by a long way, because it's keeping me warm, dry, mostly dry, and it's keeping that wind off. But you do get a little bit of spray, so I've rigged up a little sort of door here. I know, you're all saying, well, why don't you get a proper tent? Because, yes, I admit a tent is nice when you use one, but when I'm using the Trailstar, this is rather nice as well. So, okay, let's just have a quick look around, and we are dry. A tiny bit of spray coming in, which you can just see down there on the weather meter. So what I've done is I've just put my pack here just to give a little bit of protection there. I think what's causing it, it's not so much the rain coming in, it's obviously because with Cuben sometimes it's difficult to get every single ridge absolutely tight. As you can see in this really strong wind, that ham, you know, is flapping a bit, and of course that is causing some ingress of rain. It might have paid actually to have, considering I'm over this side, to have raised up that side, because of course I lowered that side because that's the side that's into the wind, but then that's the side that I'm furthest away from. So it might have paid actually to have raised that side an inch or two, and this is something just to bear in mind. And obviously, you know, let's face it, until you try this stuff you don't know. So that is just something just to bear in mind. And I've just put, because I've taken my stuff off, my clothes off, so very descriptive as usual. So that's my base layer under there, and my fleece. So I've just covered it up with my waterproof coat, because there's just maybe a few splashes just coming on the coat, so the coat is literally just keeping that part dry. But where I am completely dry, and I haven't dried anything, I haven't touched anything, but where I am completely dry. There's no bivvy, this is just my sleeping bag, but where I am, right in the middle, I am dry. So it's just around the edges where there's a few splashes of rain getting in. So, you know, you do, with a minimalistic shelter, you do sometimes have to grim and bear it, but we're doing very well. I've had something to eat. I tried one of these real termat meals. This was a beef stew, and I have to say that was quite nice. After the fusion foods, or after the fusion meals, that's probably one of the best ones I've had, this real termat. I think I've got one or two more to try, I'm not sure, but it wasn't bad, I have to admit. Oh, and I've still got my mid layer hanging up, and that's drying out rather nicely, that. And of course, the beauty of the Cuben Trailstar, okay, you may have a tiny bit of flap here and there, but it ain't gonna sag. This will stay exactly the same come tomorrow morning with all that rain. And if this had been seal nylon, this would be sagging a bit by now. But being Cuben fibre, this won't sag. So I suspect we'll be kept very safe and comfortable under here. Well, I hope you can hear me. It's still blowing an absolute gale outside. It's still blowing a gale outside, and it's still hammering with rain. But we did survive the night. Lassie has settled down and is very comfortable. Having a scratch. It's about 6:45. I've had 1 cup of tea and I'm just about to make some porridge. I kept dry in the end. in the end what I did is, because there was a little bit of rain ingress still splashing up, I don't know if you can see it, but I just put my foam mat up here, and that was enough to just stop the odd errant drop of rain, you know, reaching me. And the kilt at the front did an excellent job of keeping drops of rain off, and in fact, looking at it, it's not wet. You'll notice I've got my base layer on and my secondary layer. That dried out fine overnight. Well, enough. It dried out enough. So I've just got my stuff sacked here, ready to, you know, put stuff away. And again, you can just see a couple of drops of rain that have splashed in on my coat over there. But stuff that splashes well away from me, you know, I don't worry about. I slept fine. Well, no, I slept okay. I woke up 3 or 4 times. Twice I woke up because Lassie was getting a bit too close. She touched my foot. We must have been playing tootsies. She touched my foot at about midnight, and that woke me up, and I had been fast asleep, so I had to get her back on her bed. And then at about 2 o'clock this morning, she must have tried to snuggle up to me, sort of just down here, because I just felt her leaning towards me, and that woke me up as well. So again, on those 2 occasions, I had to just get her back in her bed. I don't know about anyone else, but I always get congestion. So last night my left nostril was bunged up, which didn't help. And of course the noise was quite loud, as you can hear. So I always carry earplugs. So I did put earplugs in, and with earplugs in, then I slept. You know, I was quite happy then. Although one of the earplugs has fallen out, so I don't know where that is at the moment. But the Trailstar, as I say, apart from a little bit of ingress of water around the edges, which you can easily, you know, work around, just put your rucksack there, or a bit of this or a bit of that, it's not a problem. You know, the Trailstar held up superbly. You know, before I figured this pitch out, I was always a little bit apprehensive as was it a bit slack or a bit loose. This time I had absolutely no doubt that this thing was head down and that it was not going to move. And I haven't done anything. I've stayed in here all night, and it's still as tight as a drum now as it was when I pitched it last night. So okay, I don't know how strong the winds were. I'm in the bottom of a valley, so the winds wouldn't have been that strong. My guess is not much more than 30 miles an hour. But you know, if you want to go pitching on the top of a hill in weather like this, get on and do that if that's what you want to do. But to me, you know, the bottom of a valley where you've got a bit more shelter is much more sensible. And as I say, you know, we've stood up to it really, really well. down here, the temperature went down to about, when I say went down to, but it was about 7 degrees at the moment. So it may have gone down to 6 during the night. I doubt it went down much more than that, to be honest. And I was just getting cool at about 4 o'clock this morning. And I was too lazy as usual to put an extra layer on. But anyway, I'm going to have my porridge now. And obviously Lassie is looking head resting on my pot lid. Well, it's still raining out and quite windy, so this is probably the last chance I'll have to say thanks for watching and all that usual sort of malarkey at the end of a video, if I actually remember to do it, which I don't always remember. But I just want to just quickly show you in here. But I've taken out the pegs obviously from the ground sheet, so the ground sheet just has to go in. I've packed pretty much everything else in. There's a few bits there I've forgotten. I just whipped those in the pack. Obviously my camera will go back in there. I've just got to tip out the last drop of water, and then obviously my wet wet socks and shoes to go on in a minute, and then Lassie's pack and some tea bags to pack away and get rid of as well, and then obviously pegs, and that's it. So you know, we're very nearly packed up now, so I'm going to carry on, you know, packing up, and then I'll see you all again very soon.